Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something, I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hi, folks, and welcome into this week's edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and on this episode, we're going to start ramping things up as we look ahead to one of the great sporting events in the world, and that is the Ryder Cup. The captain's picks have been announced. Did Keegan Bradley make the right ones? To me, he's kind of guilty of the old boys club choices that he complained about last time around when he wasn't chosen by Zach Johnson. Ask a lot of questions during this episode and get some surprising answers. Did Keegan do the smart thing by not picking himself to be the first playing captain since Mr. Palmer in 1963? Can Bethpage Black be set up in such a fashion to give the U.S. team an edge? My first guest, our resident director of instruction, Tom Patri, doesn't think so, which surprised me, and you'll hear why he thinks it's not going to matter. Will the U.S. team be able to find a hat that fits Patrick Cantlay? Or is it just there's just not enough time from the time that he gets chosen as a captain's pick to find a manufacturer that might make a hat that he could fit into? Overall, it feels like Keegan Bradley is in a no-win situation, as most of the team captains are in the Ryder Cup or a President's Cup, unless, of course, they win. It's always a situation where you better win or you're going to get second-guessed to death forever. Luke Donald and the European team are running it back with most of the same players that they had last time, and their team is not only good, but they're young as well. The U.S. could be facing most of those guys for Ryder Cups to come, especially if the Euros go back-to-back. The matches and the drama in TP's old backyard are going to be great theater. After the Ryder Cup conversation, TP and I will also touch base on the farce that is the FedEx Cup and the season-long quote-unquote chase that it's supposed to be. Following Tom, Dr. Bob Winters is back, and this month he gives us the key to getting through our doubts. We saw Tommy Fleetwood do it in the Tour Championship, getting his first win on the PGA Tour. So Doc helps us with how we can do it with our games. Do you have doubt about winning your club championship? Do you have doubt about going in and winning your weekend Nassau with your buddies? Do you have doubt about making a par on a certain hole that continually confounds you? Do you doubt being able to break a milestone score, 190, 80, whatever it is for you? Doc's going to help you understand process over prizes. Commit to the process, and the prizes will come. Doc joins me about 30 minutes from now. Then in part two, the guy that took over for the great Bob Ford as the head PGA professional at Seminole Golf Club, Matt Cahill, makes his next on the tee debut, and Matt's fantastic. You guys are going to love him. He was on a short list of one from Bob Ford to club president Jimmy Dunn to take the job after Bob retired. You're going to hear Matt's response to who's a tougher boss to impress between Bob Ford and Jimmy Dunn. Matt was also a great player, still is. Going back to his junior golf days, he played in the junior team championship, the U.S. Junior Am, the U.S. Am, and the PGA Championship a couple of years ago at Oak Hill. You can hear all of those stories, plus the incredible fields that he went into and competed against in those tournaments, plus his time working at Shinnecock and being a part of the team there that hosted the 2018 U.S. Open. So, folks, quite an episode in store for you. I know that you're really going to enjoy it. So thank you so much for pressing play, tuning in, and taking the journey with me. Okay, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. TribLive.com is the leading news website for Western Pennsylvania with news around the clock. Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, a podcast network, which you can find Next on the Tee on. So go out and bookmark TribLive.com or download the Trib Live app for free and stay up to date with all the news in Western Pennsylvania and this show. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. Iron City Beer, best enjoyed while enjoying life. Now let's talk about golf getaways and buddies trip locations. When you're thinking about that, think about our friends over at the Macklemore, which is a wonderful resort located just south of Chattanooga, Tennessee, high atop Lookout Mountain. It is a casual 2-hour drive from Atlanta, Nashville, and Birmingham. The existing Highlands course is now ranked in the top 100 courses you can play in the U.S. by Golf Digest. The 18th hole is ranked in the top 10 finishing holes in the world. A second course, The Keep, is under construction and will open summer of 2024. The Keep is a Bill Bergen, Reese Jones design and features a 1.5 miles of dramatic cliff edge, with every inch of that edge filled up with a golf hole. A world-class hotel, Cloudland Lookout Mountain Curio Collection by Hilton, will open spring of 2024. Both have incredible views into historic Macklemore Cove, 1,200 feet below. You got to see it to believe it, folks. Stay, dine, and play golf above the clouds at Macklemore. Go online to macklemore.com to book your stay and play package. Now let's talk about the new P790 irons from TaylorMade. From the very beginning, P790 irons have been rooted in clean aesthetics and thoughtful design. However, their true beauty is found beneath the surface. With AI-optimized weighting and speed foam air on the inside, every iron is uniquely designed to perform exactly how you need it to. As striking as they are on the outside, their true beauty lies within. Learn more about the new P790 irons from TaylorMade by checking out their website at TaylorMadeGolf.com. Okay, here we go. Now back with me as our resident director of instruction and one of Golf Magazine's top instructors in the game, and that is Tom Patri. Here's some facts, though, that you might not remember about Tom's career. Won 17 events during his junior golf career. Played his college golf at Florida Southern, where he was a 2-time first-team All-American. In 1981, he led the Florida Southern Moccasins to the Division II National Championship, and he won the individual honors. In 1992, he was inducted into the Sunshine State Conference Hall of Fame. He was the director of golf instruction up at Westchester Country Club, one of the premier country clubs in the U.S. He's been named the Teacher of the Year everywhere he's been. Tom is also an excellent writer, oh, by the way. His work can be found in numerous publications like Golf Magazine, Golf Digest, and Golf Illustrated. Plus, he's written a wonderful book titled The Six-Spoke Approach to Golf, 5-star rated out there on Amazon. And I couldn't be more humbled to say this, that he is back for the 122nd time this week with me here on Next on the Tee. TP, how are you, my friend?
Chrissy boy!
TP, what's going on?
It's going great, Chrissy. How you doing, pal? Everything good with you?
Fantastic. You kidding me? I've got a huge cast on my leg. I'm laid up for another 5 or 6 weeks. I pressed the redo button. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm perfect. You kidding me?
You know, Lee Majors was a $6 million man. You're like the $27.50 man.
That's about what I'm worth anyway. So yeah, you're probably right about that.
Oh,
all right, enough of all of that. I want to get right into the Ryder Cup as we look ahead a couple of weeks, Tom, because since the last time we spoke, we learned about the 6 captain picks on both sides. Keegan Bradley did not pick himself to be a part of the team. He said he was chosen to be captain, and that's what he's going to be. I feel for him because I think the poor guy is in a no-win situation if they lose. No matter what choices he makes about choosing himself or not, choosing the 6 guys he chose, no matter what happens, he's in a lose-lose situation unless they carry off the cup. But I wanted to get your thoughts ahead as we look towards what's in front of us. How did you feel about what Keegan did?
You know, I think he, like you said, Chris, he's in an incredibly difficult situation. You know, if he picks himself and they lose, it's a nightmare. And then even picking himself as a winner, somebody's like, how selfish a choice was that he wouldn't let somebody else play when that wasn't really his role. So it's a no-win for him. I think he did the right thing. I think he was picked to be the captain, and that's what he's going to be. He's playing so well right now, and he's such a great competitor, and he knows that golf course so damn well.
Yes.
If I had to flip him with somebody on that team, I know exactly who it would be, but that's not my decision. I'm not the captain, but boy, if I was the captain, I'd want Keegan Bradley on my team playing.
So that's the point, Tom, right? I mean, he went to St. John's. He knows that golf course really, really well. We talked to Frank Darby a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Darby was talking about how well Keegan knows that golf course. I guess that's where the rub's going to be, right? If they were to lose, I mean, he's an easy target for, why didn't you pick yourself? You're playing so well this year. You got a couple of wins. You went to St. John's. You know that place like the back of your hand. What are you thinking? I really feel for him.
I think it's a tough position in 2025. The last time we had a playing captain was 63, and the media demands and the eyeballs on you was so much less. It was not the event of scale that it is today. It is a huge, huge undertaking today, and the commitment of that captain and the things he has to do in and around that event, leading up to and during that event, is mind-boggling. So I don't think anybody other than maybe Superman or Batman or Spider-Man could pull off both roles, but I don't know if a normal human being could pull off both roles. I think he made the right choice, but again, I think that man, I'd want him playing if I was the captain.
So speaking of choices, his 6 captains picks: Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cam Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns. Now, to me, he's a little guilty of the same boys club that he was critical about last time. A lot of people were critical about last time with Zach Johnson, because Cantlay is Schauffele's boy, Burns is Scheffler's boy, and Morikawa, he doesn't have any boys because he's fired 5 caddies so far this summer. Burns has 6 top 10s this year, which is great, including the BMW and the Tour Championship, but in the majors, not quite so much. Tied for 46 at the Masters, tied for 19th at the PGA, tied for 7th at the U.S. Open, which was great. Had a chance to win, actually, late there, and then finishes tied 45 at the Open. Patrick Cantlay has no wins. He's got 5 top 10s this year, but he missed the cut in 3 of the 4 majors. Finished second now at the Tour Championship, and had he won that cup, I think that would have made the tournament even more of a joke than it actually was. The only reason to include him on this team, it feels like, is to appease Xander. Now the question is, can they find a hat that will actually fit Patrick Cantlay? That was a big deal last time. I feel like we got the same kind of boys club going here, Tom.
I don't agree with you on this one, Chris. I'm sorry. I got to go the other way. The only person I have a problem with right now, out of all the picks, listen, Sam Burns puts the eyes out of it, and Cantlay's record in team competitions is quite good. Morikawa is a problem child for me right now. He's not playing very well. He's done some goofy things this year. He's been all over the place with instructors, with caddies. He has not been in good form. That would be the one I'd question if I was going to question anybody.
So let's look at the other side with Luke Donald and the European team. His picks: Sepp Straka, Ludwig Oberg, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and John Rahm. They should all sound familiar, not just because they're great players, but they were all on the team last time. So he's running it back, and I don't blame him. Look, they beat a 16.5, 11.5 back in 2023, and it really wasn't even that close. So I think he did the right thing. Let's bring back as many guys as I can. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think he's got a really, really stacked lineup. I'm all for Go USA. I know who I'm pulling for, but I think they've got their hands full. That is a hell of a lineup. And the old argument about, American golf versus European golf, these guys all play in America every single week. So it's Bethpage Black is not going to present something to them that they haven't seen before, are not familiar with, don't know how to play, don't know how to adapt to. So the golf course is not an advantage, I don't think. I don't care what the setup is. The X factor can be the New York crowd, because they can get a little a little different.
You don't say, really?
Yeah, I'm speaking of my own brethren there. So I was on those grounds for a couple of majors, and I know how they treat the opposite side. I was there for the Sergio debacle. I was right in the middle of that, watching that happen. The crowd could be the X factor, but the golf course is not the X factor.
No, there's not a way. I gotta believe that Keegan and the PGA of America are gonna try to figure something out. No.
I mean, we're talking about world class players who play all over the planet in all kinds of conditions. They've won at the highest levels. They play in majors. They play in tough conditions. The golf course, the days of the golf course being an advantage, I think that's total horseshit. I mean, I think that's crap. These guys can play anywhere under any conditions on both sides, on both teams. They're just so talented. I think the only thing our friend Zach did, overseas last time was he didn't spend enough time there early. It didn't take everybody over soon enough, and they weren't ready and didn't know the golf course very well. But Bethpage Black is not an unknown commodity to anybody. And let me tell you something. Luke Donald will have them prepared. We'll have them there early enough. We'll do enough research on the golf course for guys who haven't played it before. The golf course is not the X factor.
Well, when you look back at Italy and then France prior to that, right? One of the things that I thought they did a great job in the course setup of the Europeans on the European side, give them a little help, was the greens were slower. We're used to really fast greens here. It's more of a ground game there. We're an air game here. I thought they did a good job of trying to neutralize, how far our guys hit it off the tee and then slowing those greens down so that it was more of an advantage to the European side. You don't see there's any way that we could do something similar?
Chris, tell me somebody on the European side who doesn't have experience on American-style golf courses in major championship conditions. Tell me which one of the guys on the European team is not deep enough in their experience.
Which one? Right? Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Chris, which one? Chris,
none.
Which one?
That's right. Obviously none.
That's correct. The golf course is not the X factor. I think I said that. Did I say that already?
You said that.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah. The X factor is the crowd, and the only thing that you and I have discussed in the past on the show is that the PGA of America have made the decision about ticket prices that the really loudmouth New Yorker that they really want in there. I don't know if he's the guy who can afford to go to this Ryder Cup. And I'm going to get a lot of heat from some of my PGA brethren. I'm really, really still very upset with what they've done with ticket prices to price the average guy who plays Bethpage day to day out of that market. I mean, he can't afford to go to the Ryder Cup. He really can't. And that's the guy you want on the ground yelling and screaming and carrying on. And he's not going to be. It's going to be corporate New York for the most part. $750 to attend.
Yeah.
If I was not a PGA member and couldn't go with my PGA card, I can't go there for 2 or 3 days and cheer USA on. That's we're talking about a mortgage payment now. To go to the Ryder Cup, and the postman and the plumber and the electrician and the bartender and the guy who plays Bethpage day to day and throws his bag on his back and plays there, and that's his home.
Yeah,
he's being told that week that basically he's not welcome.
Well, kudos to Keegan Bradley though for showing up at Bethpage and starting to hand out tickets. So good for him. I don't know how many he handed out, but
right. I'm with you. It was a really classy move right there.
Yeah, it was. All right, let's switch gears just slightly because I want to look back to the Tour Championship because your boy Tommy Fleetwood finally got over the hump and won a PGA Tour event and got over the hump of playing on the U.S. soil and getting a win and getting a trophy and all that sort of stuff. You had to feel good for him for finally getting that monkey off his back.
Chris, I can't remember when, as a golf fan, forget being a PGA member, as a golf fan, and I am definitely a golf fan as you are, where I've been more interested in somebody's exploits and been happier and been more excited watching a golf tournament on TV than I was during the Tour Championship watching Tommy Fleetwood win. I don't know Tommy Fleetwood. I've never met him. I've never even been in his presence. And I was so excited and so stoked to see him win and play the way he played coming down the stretch and get the monkey off his back. Um, I'm a huge Tommy Fleetwood fan. I think that was a very popular win.
Now, the fact that he won the FedEx Cup to me, Tom, was absurd. I mean, Scotty led what was supposed to be a season-long race by a mile. He won 5 times this year, including 2 majors, and somehow the Tour decided that this year that the winner of that one tournament was going to be your FedEx Cup champion. And I mean, look, I love Cinderella stories and all of that sort of thing, where maybe, the guy at 30th coming in could have won this whole thing. But I'm struggling, Tom, with the whole idea that Scotty could lead by as much as he did. And I know we did away with the staggered leaderboard, and in the past we've had some complicated algorithm that nobody could keep up with. It just, to me, feels like they just haven't figured out how to do this thing. But
No,
the idea that someone could beat Scotty is just tough.
Chris, I'm with you in the sense that I don't think they've gotten it right yet. The staggered start was a disaster. Their previous formulas didn't seem to work. People couldn't follow what was going on. It goes back to what we said on 2 previous shows. I don't think they figured it out yet, number one. And I don't think the playoffs in golf really works. I just don't think it really works.
Yeah.
I mean,
do we need it?
Listen, I'm going to sound like a dinosaur, and I know we've got our friend Matt Cahill listening in right now, who's a youngster compared to the old dinosaur here. But I was a big fan when the last event was at Disney, and it was 125, and 25 guys would show up in that field because they were just fighting for their life to keep their card in the last event, and it came down to $9.99 between 125 and 126, and you followed the last 5 holes because this guy had to make a birdie, or he made a bogey, or this guy made a double, or it was I mean, I watched that last tournament every year just because of that, because it was so much fun, because it was guys, they were fighting for their tour life, to stay out there. I thought that was compelling. I don't think this FedEx Cup is particularly compelling. I really don't.
No, and I think, most golf fans, not all, but I think most golf fans feel like golf season's over on the 72nd hole at the Open. And this is sort of some contrived thing to keep everybody interested for a few more weeks. And to your point, I don't think that they have figured this thing out now. Hopefully they think on it over this fall and winter and come out with something better for next year. But, one of the things that I've seen proposed, I think Golf Digest did a thing where they were talking about going to match play. And I know Rory poo-pooed all over that, saying, hey, we play stroke play all year long. And to think that the Tour Championship would then come down to match play, he thought was not a great idea. I don't know if anybody else feels differently out there on tour, but to me, they've either got to come up with something that is really, really good or just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to let it go. You know why?
Money.
FedEx is throwing a lot of money at this thing.
Yeah, money.
And 2 things, Chris, as we've said in the past, there's 2 things that always win: money and time. money wins and time wins. You can't beat the clock on the wall, and you can't beat the checkbook. Yep. They always win. So I don't think it's going away as far as some kind of playoff system, but they have to come up with something that makes a lot more sense.
Agreed. I had a couple more before I let you go, and let's talk some playing lessons. And this one is more of a swing thought than it is a playing lesson, because you were telling me that yesterday you hit 14 out of 14 fairways during your round, and you did so by stealing something that you saw from Cam Young. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm going to go back about 6 or 8 weeks ago. I'm watching an event on a Sunday, and Cam was playing well. It might have been the week he finally won. And as you know, Cam has an incredible pause at the top of his backswing, as does one of my old friends, Jay Haas, and then of course Hideki in the same vein. And I've always struggled with transition, especially as I've gotten older, and desperate to keep my yards somewhere respectable, which they're really not. But the change of direction has become a problem for me, and it's led to some bad path numbers and some kind of wipes across the golf ball and some weak shots. And I started fooling around in the learning center at Twin Eagles with hitting some golf shots where I felt like I made a little bit more of a patient backswing and felt like I was pausing. Now, when I put it on film, what I felt like and what I saw was not the same, and it never is. What we feel is never really real. It's just a feeling. But I started fooling around with the feel of feeling like I was kind of coming to a stop at the top of my backswing before I changed directions. And when I put those thoughts on TrackMan, my path numbers got much better. Um, there wasn't as many weak shots or kind of glancing blows. Um, Everything seemed to be more solid. And I played with that thought on the golf course for the first time yesterday. As a matter of fact, I played golf with Mr. Cahill yesterday, as a matter of fact, and was really happy with the result off the tee for me, as an old fart. Of course, Mr. Cahill hit it about 450 yards past me in the air. But everybody does that, so that's nothing new.
Did he give you two aside?
No, he wouldn't give me the time of day.
Really?
No. You don't.
Cahill didn't give you two aside? He's like a third your age.
No, that's not the way it works. We were playing from different team offers, by the way. But anyway, and I'm going to continue to experiment with that. I don't think it's a done deal, but I think I've found something that can help me a little bit there. And I think a lot of people suffer through that, situation where they change directions a little bit too quick, and the club kind of gets out and over the top a little bit, and the numbers get really, really glancing and weak, and they hit kind of pull cuts that are really weak, and it's really changed the contact quality a lot for me. So that's a work in progress, but I think I might be onto something there.
I think you might be too. I wrote that down. I got to try that when I can start swinging a golf.
I don't think you should try that by yourself. That's called malpractice. I think it's like taking injections without the doctor. I don't think you should do that.
Yeah, but I can blame you.
Exactly. Fine. That's fine.
All
Hey,
right, one more before we go. I want to talk a little short game. I've heard you know a little something about that.
Yeah.
And we all seem to be in love nowadays. Ever since God invented the 60 and 64 degree wedges, we've fallen in love with those clubs. So many times we don't need height when we're 20 to 30 yards short of the green. There's no obstacles in our way between us and the flagstick. There's nothing we need to hit the ball over. You talk about, you've got a wonderful lesson. Again, everybody go out there and subscribe to Tom's YouTube channel, because there's 350 of these free lessons. And one of them is to really talk about the bump and run, and maybe hitting a little low shot and letting the ball run back to the hole placement if you've got a back left or right pin. Talk about the bump and run shot, and maybe it's better that we leave the 60 to 64 in the bag.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because yesterday, again, playing Mr. Cahill and his Dacom, his assistant, who are both wonderful players, by the way. They put on a little clinic with hitting some wedge and bunker shots yesterday, and really, really good, both of them, at fighting the ball down and bringing the trajectory down, and quality of contact is quite good, and spin rates are really, really good. They do a wonderful job with that. And I think, it goes back to a conversation I had about back in about a year ago, January, with a friend of mine named Bob Vokey. You might have heard of him. And I had a 58 degree in my bag, and I was talking to Voke, and I said, I've never been comfortable with a 58 degree and a 60 degree club in my bag. I just feel it's like it's contrived. I can never really control it. The trajectory gets away from me. I don't feel like the contacts are very good. And he said, Tom, when you were growing up, what was the highest lofted club you had in your bag? I said, well, Vogue, when I was growing up, the highest lofted club on the planet was 55 degrees. He goes, did you have any trouble hitting, different trajectory shots with that? I said, no. Did you have any trouble hitting bunker shots? I said, no. He said, did you pitch the ball pretty well? I said, yeah, pretty nicely. He said, why don't you put a 56 back in your bag? I'll build one for you. We'll get one to spec for you, and take that 58 out of your bag, and tell me if there's any shot that you can't hit at any trajectory up or down with that 56. So we did that, and it's been in my bag now since midwinter, last winter, and he was totally right. I think you get a lot of loft in your hands, and especially with the amateur, and now they're trying to even make it go higher, and they're making longer swings, and higher rates of speed, more moving parts, and the volatility goes up. and they are absolutely god awful at it, most of them. Again, Chris, if you don't have to go up, don't go up. I mean, if you got nothing in front of you, the ground can be your friend. I think you watch European golf, and especially golf in Ireland and Scotland. And I grew up on the east end of Long Island and played places like Shinnecock and National and more, and in my years at Friars Head, more link style golf courses. And I got back to hitting these shots on the ground a little bit more, and I just think it makes your life a lot easier. That's all.
Before I let you go, and we have certainly pointed towards Matt Cahill joining me here and a couple of segments. Dr. Bob Winters is on deck. Two of your good friends. Talk about those guys.
Bob Winters is is not only an expert in his field of sports psychology, but Bob Winters is a class act. And he's a guy that I have grown recently to lean on more and more for help and information with some of my own students. But I love him because he's good at what he does, but I love him because he's authentic and he's passionate, and he's a golf nerd like I am, and he loves what he does and he pours his heart into it. So you have a good man coming in and behind me. I can't say enough about Matt Cahill. Here's a young man who I've become, I think, very close to in the last couple of years, as has Denise, my wife. We need more Matt Cahills in the PGA of America. Not only a great player, a very, very, very high golf IQ, a traditionalist, a gentleman, and so humble in his successes. I can't say enough about him. I spent 5 hours with him yesterday on the golf course, a little bit afterwards. And I purposely asked him to play yesterday because it was my son's birthday, and I wanted my son to be around him. And I can't give him a bigger compliment than that. He's just a quality human being and a great PGA professional. So you got two really good ones coming right behind me here. I'll get out of the way because I don't deserve to be on the same stage with those two.
Oh, look at you!
I'm serious now. Chris, I'm being dead serious. I don't deserve to be on the same stage as those two. They take it to a different level in their respective areas.
Well, you certainly recommended Matt very highly to me, and in spite of that, I wanted to have him on the show because so did Bob Ford. So when Fordy said, you got to have Matt on the show, I said, well, TP kind of pointed me in that direction. It's always sort of questionable about your choices, but when Ford says you got to have this guy on, I said, well,
Ford couldn't teach a dog to bark. Let's move on.
Wow.
Couldn't teach a dog to bark.
TP, before I let you go, remind everybody how they can stay up to date with you, my friend, because you've got a wonderful studio. You've got 2 Instagram accounts now, and you've got that great YouTube channel as well.
The YouTube channel, as a matter of fact, Chris, just got about 10 more entries on it this week. We plugged out 10 more in there. We're going to film about another 15 this week. So we're going to get the thing over 400 pieces by the end of the season.
Wow.
So it's really been fun. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the natural places, and the website is just tompatri.com. But more importantly, every other Tuesday night right here with you, my friend, and I love being on with you. We've only done 150,000 shows together now.
122.
Why you let me come back on here every other week is beyond me, but it's just a tribute to your insanity. So that's
Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, pal. Listen, do me a favor. Make sure you tell those guys hi for me, will you?
I will absolutely do it.
Okay,
Tom,
buddy.
take care, my friend. You're the best. I love you. Take care, and we look forward to catching up with you again in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, pal.
See you, Tom. That's the great Tom Patri, folks. Again, Tom Patri Golf is where you can find him on Instagram and at Patri Golf as well. There's a long story behind why there's 2, but there are. So you can't miss anything there. And make sure you go out there and subscribe to that YouTube channel. You're going to be so glad you did. Tom's going to take your game to the next level. And don't let him sell himself short, because he is one of the great, not only great instructors in our game, but people on the planet. I love that guy, and we'll catch up again with him in a couple of weeks. Okay, coming up next, we get our regular monthly visit from the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. Before I bring Doc into the show, I want to remind you about our wonderful friends over at On Point Golf and their out of this world On Point golf ball marker. And if you don't have one, folks, you really need to go check it out at onpointgolf.us. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only three-dimensional ball marker out there with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your three-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the #1 ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023, and they were using an On Point ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, you can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use On Point ball markers. Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today. I also want to remind you about our wonderful friends over at Squares Golf.
So Nick here. What if there was a golf shoe embraced by hundreds of thousands of golfers, celebrated for its stability, comfort and distance? What if this shoe earned the title of most technologically advanced golf shoe by Sports Illustrated? And what if the company behind that shoe spent the last year perfecting a brand new category of golf footwear? Well, the what if is here. Introducing the all-new Pro S2 LT by Squares, a new class all of its own, the perfect blend of lightweight comfort and stable performance. You'll notice the difference. Change your shoes, change your game. Squares.
I also want to give a special shout out to our wonderful friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company. Their pumpkin ale is back, folks. It's the #1 selling pumpkin beer in Western Pennsylvania and incredibly popular everywhere their beer is sold. Why? Because it's everything you love about beer disguised as everything you love about homemade pumpkin pie. Go online to pittsburghbrewing.com to check that one out. Plus, their other great beers, including the Blockhouse Blueberry Wheat, along with my family's favorites, Iron City Nicey Light, of course. Plus, make plans to attend Oktoberfest on Saturday, September 13th and Saturday, September 27th. Tickets are on sale now at pittsburghbrewing.com. All right, now back and next on the tee with me is the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. As always, Doc is back to help us think differently, develop our confidence, play smarter. You can find him down in Orlando at his Performance Enhancement Company or at the Ledbetter Golf Academy at the Reunion Resort. The work he is doing, ranging with junior players all the way up to tour professionals, is absolutely amazing. He is developing winners at each and every level. He is also the early pioneer who helped develop mental training for junior players. He's a board member of the Next Tour, which is a feeder tour out to the Epson and the LPGA tours. And I can't be more excited to get to have him back with me again this month here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Doc, how are you, my friend?
Chris, it's great to be with you. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, Doc. You know, this whole ankle replacement thing, but I'm getting there. I'm going to get back out there. The third time's the charm, my friend.
Well, I hope it is. And I'll tell you what, I am so sorry that you have to go through this again, but, our prayers are with you because, the rehab, physical rehab, that's one thing. But the psychological rehabilitation and then, the disappointment, the frustration, the anticipation, the aspiration, I'm going to be well, I'm going to be better. And then they go, well, we're going to have to go back in there and do it again. So I'm just giving you, some mental strength, some grit. And I assure you it's going to come out great this time. So
I appreciate you, Doc.
Yeah, you hang tough in there. And by the way, hey, I got on here and I heard a little bit and, TP was talking, some wonderful, nice comments about myself. And, the guest after me, Matt Cahill, obviously Matt has a resplendent resume. I know of him. I know of his reputation. Never had a chance to meet him personally. But, my introduction to him has been through word of mouth, and it's only, he's a true class act. And have TP, give us such, a nice introduction and a nice word just says so much about my friend Tom Patri.
Yes, it does. All right, Doc. So let's start off because the topic of the month that you and I were discussing prior to the show is kind of getting through doubt. We saw Tommy Fleetwood, who kept knocking on the door, trying to get his first win here in the U.S., painfully eluding him several times. He would go into a final round with a 1 or 2 stroke lead and come up short. Talk about when that happens to a tour player or to any of us, how can we break through the doubt?
Well, let's just first really start, what doubt really is. Doubt is a feeling of uncertainty. It's a feeling of skepticism. Will I be able to handle this? Will I be able to really pull this through? Now, not all doubt is bad. There's something we call healthy doubt, because healthy doubt sort of makes us get into our critical thinking. So we just don't, jump into the fire before we think about it, right? Look before you leap. But doubt is on the opposite end of confidence. So doubt is this lack of certitude. It's this lack of conviction. And that's really what confidence is on the opposite side of the spectrum. It says, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And I know I can do this. So doubt, as far as performance, and especially in golf and in athletic performance, or in any performance, your own self-doubt is the greatest limiting factor to your own potential, to your own, what we call aspiration towards greatness. So we're always trying to actually get through the doubt. And here's the thing, Chris, I just really want to say this. We always talk about, well, if I could just win one time, I could win quite a few. And I'm always telling people, well, that's nothing new. I mean, because everyone who wins something the first time that is of absolute perceived value, that's so important to them, they had to think they could do it. They had to believe they could do it. They had to prepare to do it. They had to practice and over in their mind until they could do it. They even had to come really close to doing it and failing many times and learning from those failings before they actually broke through. And here's, the big deal. When people break through that winning barrier and they win for the first time, I'm always, it's always funny because a player would come to me and go, geez, I thought it was going to be a lot different than that. I go, what do you mean? They go, well, I stayed in my lane. I played my game. I really let go of everything. And here I am holding the trophy. And that's why I've always said, if you can just, get your mind in the right direction, if you can just let go of all the other psychological chubba-lub and say, this is what I'm going to do, and then just have the mental discipline to do it, it's amazing how you get to the other side. Now, if you take a look, and I know you guys were talking a little bit about Tommy Fleetwood, I put, on an Instagram here about a week and a half ago after Tommy won. And I was going over his keys to winning. And it became, really one of my most hit Instagram like page I've ever, had in the last 5-6 years since I've been on social media. Everybody loved it. And what I was doing was just sort of reverberating what, Tommy, had said in his winning interview. And here's what he said. He said, first of all, he said, no matter if I win or lose, I'm just a competitor. I love to compete. He goes, but even when I compete, I'm always trying to pull something positive out of everything and trying to be positive. Even his caddy, Ian, who he's been, great friends with for years, had something written in his yardage book that says, let's just go get it. And it was something very motivational, something very purposeful, something very positive. He also said, I need to move through the doubt. I need, to be big. I need to be resilient. And that's one of the things he said in his winning interview. He said, it's really easy to sit back and say, yeah, you need to be resilient. It's like everybody says, yeah, you just need to relax and be confident. But it's a hell of a lot tougher to relax, to be resilient and be confident when you're up to your neck in alligators, when, the initial objective was to drain the swamp, right? So he goes on to say that. And he said, the other thing is, I persisted until I succeeded. And he said, no matter if I won this tournament, if I lost it, or I buggered it up, at the end of the day, he said, I would move on because I realized one thing. I'm giving it my very best shot, and it's still just golf. And I thought, what really impressed me the most about Tommy Fleetwood, and he earned millions and millions of fans, was when he said, at the end of the day, it's what my father told me. It's not about your great golf. He goes, be a good person first. And I thought right there, now that's the heart of a champion. And, I've known his good friend Justin Rose for many years when I worked with Justin when he was younger. And these two Englishmen are just, fantastic people, great ambassadors to the game. And I got to tell you, when we talk about this doubt, everybody has doubt. And so I'm going to give you an analogy, Chris, that I give to a lot of my players who say, the doubt keeps coming, Doc. The doubt keeps coming. And I always go to this, a metaphor. And I say, it's like a surfer. And I've worked with a lot of professional surfers over the years. You're out in the water. And now, I live down here by New Smyrna. I mean, here in Orlando, we're about an hour from the ocean. The snake bite capital of the world, by the way, New Smyrna Beach. I mean, in the water, you've got, leopard sharks, you've got, striped sharks, you've got spinners, black tips. They've even seen some great whites out there. But as a surfer, what you're looking for that swell of water. Your task is to find that perfect wave, to really reach out to it. And once you get out there on it, you're riding the wave. You're not concerned about all of, what could be, what's there, what's here, because there's sharks in the water, and every surfer knows that. And they knew the job and the task was difficult and dangerous when they took it, but they loved the experience. So they actually take that hazard on, all right? We don't have that same sort of, danger, on the golf course, even though we have, snakes and alligators, but we don't have sharks all around us. But I think that's a pretty good metaphor because the doubt will always be around you, Chris. And so what we have to do, we have to sort of gate out, or block out all of this doubt and decide for ourselves, what is it that I want to do? And when you do that, what you find is that your mind sort of slows down. You start focusing on really what is important. And really what's important is TNT, task and target. What's my task? What's my target? And if you can, execute on those two things and let everything else go. I mean, I'm talking about the psychological chubba-lubba, the importance of the event, what it could mean, or this, or what will people think of me? And the big thing that Ian Finnis, I think is his name, Tommy Fleetwood's caddy, kept saying to him, Tommy, it's process over prizes. Process, play Tommy Fleetwood golf over prizes. And I just think, that is just everyone's cue. Everyone should be, writing that down. That should be a cliche, a gospel of golf, mental training for everyone to say process over prize, stay in the moment, and let's do the very best we can. That's how you get through the doubt. But it's always there, Chris.
It is, Doc, and I want to take that a half a step further because Tommy's a guy who's won multiple times over in Europe, and that doubt seemed to come in with he can't seem to win here in the U.S., can't seem to win here in the U.S. But does that doubt, I mean, obviously we all have self-doubt, and golf is a great one to pull it out of us. But sometimes does that doubt get put on us? And that the more times you hear, you can't win, do we ingest some of that stuff and let it kind of get into us and get into our minds so then we actually start to believe it?
Someone asked me, they go, what do you think it's like? What do you think it's like for Tommy Fleetwood? And Chris, I came from the Hoosier State, Indiana, and we were basketball crazy. I mean, and Friday, Saturday nights, we'd go into gyms, much like Hoosiers, and it would be, action packed. It would be Hoosier hysteria. I always tell people it's like trying to go to the foul line, all right? And you've got 3,000, 4,000 hysterical fans just whistling, yelling, chanting, booing you, whatever it is, trying to get you upset. And you're trying to make, that free throw. Now, think about doing that for 4.5, 5, 6 hours, okay? And think about all the times that people come up to him and go, do you think you're going to win? When are you going to win? going to get the, that monkey off your back? When are you going to win? It reminds me of having a spouse who always says, when are you going to cut the grass? Are you going to cut the grass today? Or are you going to take the trash out? And how many times do they have to tell you that? Now, if you multiply that times about 100 times every day, that's probably what it would be like. Something like that. And I know that you and I don't have spouses like that, Chris. So, or anybody else is listening,
Of course not. Don't be silly, Doc.
That's right. Exactly. But I think that's really what's going to happen, when we get ready here for Bethpage and the Ryder Cup. And I mean, and that's a whole new, can of worms right there. So here we're getting ready for, I think, is absolutely the ultimate, golf tournament of, this year. I mean, I love all the majors. I love every golf tournament, but the Ryder Cup here on American soil, it's huge. And believe me, I'm the equal opportunity sports psychologist. I had people on the American side. I have people on, the European side. So I just love to see the very best person, the very best team win. I do. I just want to see great competition. And the Ryder Cup really has that. And this year, being at Bethpage, being in New York, we're going to have a ruckus home crowd. We will. And, one of the things you and I were talking about was this whole notion of, well, should we win? I mean, so now we have this expectation. Well, we're playing at home. Are there benefits of playing at home? There are. In the world of sports psychology and the world of what we call territorial psychology, is that anytime you have someone on your home turf, you feel like you want to defend it, with more vigor, with more heart, with more guts. Now, that works out great. You've got, a home partisan crowd. They're cheering for you, creating a lot of emotion. But at the same time, we have all these positives we can take from a home court advantage or home field advantage. And on the other side, what if it becomes dysfunctional? What if, the players feel like, wow, I have to win. I don't want to let USA down. I don't want to let my team members down. I just don't want to let, the whole golfing world down. And I don't want to actually lose here, on American soil because we're supposed to win. See, that committee of them, we're supposed to, I mean, that puts a lot of burden on all these players. So I think every player, whether you are on the European team or on the American team, has to have a very unique perspective. And I talk about it being perspective. You have to have a very unique perspective, meaning the name of the game is still get the ball in the hole in the fewest number of strokes. And if you can keep your mind, really focused on that and not get lost in all of this other psychological chubba-lubba, all right, that can take you almost anywhere, you're going to be a heck of a lot better off.
Doc, before I let you go, remind our listeners again how they can stay up to date with all the great things that you're out there doing. Become one of your students. Get in touch with you. How can they do it?
They can actually reach me at my website, theconfidencedoctor.com, or they can actually reach me, on Instagram or on Facebook at Dr. Bob Winters or Dr. Robert Winters, or they can look me up, at golfzoneledbetter.com or davidledbetter.com. And if not, they can just Google me and you can find me. So yeah, I'm out there. I've been around for a long time. And I'll tell you what, Chris, thanks so much. We're starting up, this September, great. This year is going by really fast. And I just hope, when are you actually going to be completely up and about?
Well, they tell me that I get the stitches out on Friday. They put me in a hard cast, so still no more wait for another 4 weeks after that. And then hopefully early October, they cut the cast off and I can start PT and try to get this thing back to where I need it to be.
Well, all I'm thinking and all I'm wishing for you, Chris, because I know you are a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Indeed.
That on Thanksgiving Day that you can walk with both legs right up, to that dinner table and cut that turkey. Okay, that's really that's what I'm hoping for you, big boy.
I appreciate you. I'm hoping for that too.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Take care, Doc. Okay, we'll catch up again soon. See
All
ya.
right. Bye-bye now.
That is the great Dr. Bob Winters, folks. And again, you can find him on social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Dr. Bob Winters, online, theconfidencedoctor.com, and like it says on his Instagram page, for those who want to win, you need to get in touch with Dr. Bob. And if you go back and you listen to the segments that Dr. Bob has been a part of, there are so many great nuggets. You hear me talk about it all the time. I jot stuff down in my little notebook here, and I keep it in my golf bag to refer back to. What did we learn this week? Process over prizes. TNT, task and target. Those two things, right? If we focus on the process and get out of looking ahead and forward and whatever the prize might be in your game. For me, it's to break 80. For someone, it might be to win their club championship. For someone else, it might be another tournament. For someone, it might be winning their member. Whatever your prize is, you can kind of put that in the background and follow the process. The prize is going to get in the way at the end. And I think that's a wonderful lesson that Doc has talked to us about this month. And I'm very excited. Again, September. We're in September. By the time when Doc comes back on the show in October, I mean, the year's almost over. Unbelievable how fast this has all gone by this year. But I look forward to catching up with him again a month from now. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on part one of this week's show, featuring my conversations with the great Tom Patri and the great Dr. Bob Winters. Can't thank those guys enough for how much they have meant to this show over the years. Now come back for part two, because making his next On the Tee debut is Matt Cahill. Matt is the guy who took over for Bob Ford as the PGA professional at Seminole Golf Club down in Florida. The course that we wondered about for so many years, that we had heard about but never seen until the TaylorMade Skins game a couple of years ago. We finally got a glimpse into that place. Well, Matt is a tremendous player. Going back to his junior days, he was part of the winning team at the 2007 Junior Team Championship. He played in the 2008 U.S. Junior Amateur Championship at Shoal Creek, the 2009 U.S. Amateur at Southern Hills. And like I say, now he's the head golf professional at Seminole, which is a huge accomplishment in its own right. So a lot to get into with Matt. I know you're going to love him. He is a 10 times better person than he is a player, and he was a tremendous player. Folks, I can't thank you enough for continuing to make Next on the Tee a part of your regular golf content, and for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts, barring none. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies, and be sure to follow it on Trib Live or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.